All right, welcome everybody. Mike Zagari here. So glad to have you all on the call. Happy Tuesday. What is it? April 3rd. I have been traveling, so time has been flying this year really fast. Just got back from Austin last week and was there for a mastermind. If anyone follows Ryan Daniel Ran, his backroom mastermind is really, really great. Learned a lot of stuff, met a lot of cool people. So I've been traveling and doing my thing. 2018 is going by really fast so far. Hope you guys are having an amazing 2018. This call is all about what's going on with PPC Entourage. How can you leverage the software to help scale your business? There's going to be a mix between some new people on this call who have not utilized the software yet and people who have utilized the software and want to learn how to take it to the next level. The call is going to be about 20 to 25 minutes long. I have a coaching call at 6:30 sharp, so I have to leave at about 6:25. So around 6:20, have your questions ready. And any questions that I can't get to here, then go on over to the Facebook group. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, by all means, go on over to the Facebook group and ask your questions there. And I do answer those questions every morning. Francis is there, and other people are there to help answer your questions as well. So once again, everybody, welcome to PPC Entourage. This is going to be a monthly call, by the way. We're going to do this every month. Got a lot of new things to share, so I figured every month would be a good way to share this information. And they'll be short and brief and go over some of the latest things and strategies that we're going over. So just a little, some things that we've been working on. We have a new homepage, which doesn't really pertain to this call, but we're excited about it. And the one thing I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek on tonight. This should be live next week. Really excited that by next week, this is how the old dashboard looked. By next week, there's going to be a very new look to Entourage. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek right now. This is how it's going to look. Oh, blew that. This is how it's going to look. It's going to be an updated dashboard. Pretty much the entire site is going to be redone and reorganized and restructured. Very simple and easy to use. As you go down the page, you'll see it's a lot easier to get through all of the different tabs. There's going to be easier drop-down selections. And if you go down, everything's going to be organized, search bars. So we're really excited about that because we always felt that, this was nice, but it needed some work. And we got a lot of suggestions from our user base. And that should be live. We're thinking on Friday. So by Friday, you'll have the option to go back and forth between this version and this version. And then as we get your feedback, we'll eventually just go and switch on over to this new version. Probably like by the end of this month, it'll be completely this version. That being said, it is the same layout. And if you're new to PPC Entourage, it's broken down into 3 separate tabs. Listing optimization is where you put your profit margins in. This way we know how much profit you're making across all of your SKUs. We basically just need to know the cost of goods. Campaign optimization is, now that's my favorite tab. Campaign optimization, there's so much to do inside of campaign optimization, and we're gonna focus on that tonight during this call. That's obviously where you optimize and weed out all of the junk. The exact match keywords, you update your bid prices, you can do exact words and do negative phrase match. All of those different things are done inside campaign optimization. And then Power PPC is where you go to find new search terms and find new match types and expand into different match types. Now, also in 2018, you guys have probably seen we have an updated blueprint. And the blueprint is updated to get the latest and greatest strategies that we've been using with our managed service clients to help scale their businesses. Now, there's some changes in 2018. It's a lot more about relevancy and getting relevant keywords into your Amazon sponsored product ads. And it's also about optimizing various ways to make sure that your ads are more relevant. And I've been learning a lot about really what makes sponsored products tick and what makes a campaign and certain product show up at the top versus your competitor. And we're going to go over hopefully some of that on this call and in upcoming trainings. But basically, what it comes down to is your campaign history plays a role into it. The click-through rate percentage plays a big role into it, and also the number of clicks that you get plays a big role into it. So basically, the older the campaign, if it has a really good CTR percentage, and if it gets a lot of clicks, then that seemed to be very favorable in Amazon's eyes. And we had a call with the Amazon API team last week, and they were explaining to us that if you have those three things that are really favorable, then you're likely going to spend less on the bids because your ad's going to be served. You're not going to have the bid price is not going to be as much of a factor as it would be if those things weren't very good. So let me put that another way. If your campaigns have rich history, if your CTR percentage is good, your conversion percentage is good, and you're getting a lot of clicks, then you're not going to have to pay as much. And that's how you get into the more profitable range with PPC. Otherwise, you're going to have to jack up your bid prices just to compete with everybody else. And now that's why optimization is absolutely critical. And that's why I'd like to spend more time tonight on campaign optimization. So for the newbies out there, if you guys haven't seen this tab to get started, the fundamentals course is free. That's where we go over the fundamentals of PPC, basically everything from soup to nuts when it comes to like all the metrics, all types of campaigns and stuff like that, match types. And the blueprint series is the strategy and the structure that we're constantly updating to make sure that we're on top of the latest strategies that are working. Okay. So as I said, we're going to go over campaign optimization and go over a couple of things that are working. If you guys have questions, leave them in the chat box now as we go, and I will be more than happy to answer them as we go along. Okay, so now in the blueprint in 2018, we broke the optimization part of this into 3 separate phases. Now, on the new look Entourage, it's going to look a lot better, but on the old Entourage here, Phase 1 is campaign bulk optimization. Campaign bulk optimization. Now, this is when you have a bunch of campaigns and you want to get rid of the junk in bulk. I can't say enough as to how much of a time saver and how much of a money saver this could potentially be. Because what you can do is get creative with what you're looking for and do it in bulk. Now, let me give an example. Let's say you wanted to find all of the keywords that are just performing at a super amazing level for you guys. Let's say it's like you want to find all of the keywords across all of your campaigns that are performing at a 0.1 to, let's say, a 25% ACOS. Well, now you can simply do that and find all of that information and then raise your bid prices up a little bit to try to get more impressions and try to even send even more traffic to those keywords. So that's just one strategy that we've been utilizing. We've also been doing that the reverse way. If our keyword bid prices are, let's say, 60 to 100%, you can find all of those keywords in bulk across all of your campaigns, all of your ad groups, and then you can lower your keyword bid price in an attempt to match your ACOS. Because the trick is, well, we'll talk about this in a second. We also want to find the search terms that are not generating any sales. And you can do that in bulk inside of campaign optimization, search term expansion. Now, I'll go in here and show you guys what that looks like. There's SKU bulk optimization, keyword bulk optimization, search term bulk optimization, and negative word finder. All of these are really, really helpful. I caution you guys to use negative word finder, the bulk finder. Just use it sparingly. Use it and make sure you use it with the right words. Because if you over optimize using negative words bulk finder, you'll get no impressions. It's just I've seen people do it before. You have to be very careful about that. That being said, you can go in there and do it in bulk, but when you just sift through the words and make sure those are the words that absolutely make no sense to what you're selling, and then do a negative phrase match on that. Okay, so SKU optimization in bulk, that's really cool too. The reason why this is super important is that you could have dozens of ad groups and dozens of campaigns, and you can find the individual SKUs inside of those ad groups that aren't working in a particular ad group. So let's say you have 10 ad groups in one campaign and the same SKU is in one of those ad groups. Let's just say that as an example. We'll find the SKU inside of that ad group that isn't performing well, and then you can pause it automatically from Entourage. We reduced our ad spend from 70,000 a month down to 30 profitably recently, back in, I think it was the end of 2017, simply by doing SKU bulk optimization. Well, first what we did is we looked at 50% ACOS across all of our campaigns, and anything above that we turned off. Yeah, we had a lot of campaigns. We had over 100. And that whittled it down to about 78 different campaigns, maybe a little less, 75 campaigns. Then we did SKU bulk optimization. So within those campaigns, any SKU that had an ACOS of 50 or above, we paused that SKU, okay? So now we're only sending traffic into good campaigns that had, and the SKUs inside of those campaigns that are performing well. The next step is we went to the keywords bulk optimization, and we found the keywords that are performing well between the ACOS of 0.1 and 25%, and we raised the bid price by 15%, all of which you can do inside of these modules in like 2 minutes. Didn't take very long at all. Then we went to keywords bulk optimization again and looked at the campaigns that were now live. Remember, we had gotten rid of some, and now we had about 75 campaigns that were live. We looked at those keywords, and if they had any let's say, poorly performing keywords inside of them, then we lowered the bid price on those poorly performing keywords in bulk. So now we did this systematic one by one. And then after that, we went to search term optimization, and we found all the search terms. Now I want to spend some time on search term optimization. We used to say find the search terms that have 5 clicks with no sales. That still works. You can still do that. And there's a filter right over here called search term bulk optimization, 5 clicks and no sales. And if you're going to do this, you're going to find all of the campaigns and find all of the ad groups here, and then use one of these filters to apply it, and then find all of those search terms. You could potentially have hundreds and hundreds of search terms. And what the software will do, if you click on new terms only, it'll find the terms that are basically, they're not optimized out yet. So these are new terms that have not been optimized out in any of your campaigns, or the specific campaign that you want to optimize that term out in. And what you'll do is you'll select those search terms, and then you're going to push it as negative exact, and it'll push automatically to the ad group of that search term. Now, we used to do 5 clicks without a sale. I'm starting to play around with 2 clicks without a sale, doing it in bulk, and then going through that list, because I want to make sure that I'm not getting to 3 or 4 or 5 clicks without a sale. It's becoming very costly to do that. And some of these search terms aren't very, very good. They're not very relevant. If it's a relevant search term, then I will give it some more leeway, and I'll let it ride a little bit. But if it's a term that has 2 clicks without a sale and really isn't as relevant as I would like, then I'm going to go ahead and optimize that out sooner than later. And search term bulk optimization is the fastest way to find that. The other thing you can do, and we were talking about relevancy before, we're talking about click-through rate percentage. I strongly suggest weeding out the really crappy search terms that are underperforming based on CTR percentage, especially in your more seasoned campaigns that get a lot of traffic. Let me put it this way. If you have a bunch of campaigns that are performing poorly, it's going to drag down the performance of your overall status with Amazon on PPC. So let's say you have like 3 or 4 crappy campaigns, and they have like a 0.005 CTR percentage or whatever it is. That could drag down the overall performance of all of your campaigns. So optimizing based on CTR percentage is becoming very, very, very important. I think we're going to make a specific part of Entourage that we already have that actually inside of the individual campaigns. I'll show you guys in a second. But in bulk, what you can do is you can find a CTR percentage of, let's say, 0.01 to 0.03. And you can find all of the search terms that are performing in that range. Or you can make up your own range. Anywhere from 0.5, I'd say 0.4 to 0.8 is good. But anything less than that, then you want to start to weed out some of those search terms that are underperforming. And then you could apply that in bulk, and then you could do a negative exact in bulk. Again, I would say look at the individual words as you're doing this and negative exact. That way, if it's underperforming, then you could take away those negative, do those negative search terms. But if it's relevant to what you're selling, then maybe you want to keep it around for a little bit longer. The other thing I would love for you guys to do is play around with the date range and go back like 120 days. Give yourself some time. The more data, the better, and change the date range over here. So just to rephrase that, we did the SKU bulk optimization. Then we did the keyword bulk optimization in 2 ways. We raised the bid price on the good keywords, and we lowered the bid price on the keywords that were underperforming from, like, let's say 60 to 100 ACOS. Then we went to search term bulk, and we looked at the search terms that were underperforming with 2 or more clicks, and then we did negative exacts on that. So all of the results are going to show over here, and everything is synchronized with Amazon. And the final step, used sparingly, is negative word finder, where you go and you find the individual words and you push them, but just be cautious about that. So now let me show you guys that CTR percentage filter. We're going to go into a campaign over here. This is really important on, like I said before, on your more profitable campaigns, but you could do it across your entire account. Search term optimization, hidden in search term optimization, is a section called time-saving filters. And then right over here is a filter for low CTR percentage. This is going to show you across the given time period all of the junky search terms that are underperforming, and it'll show you if they have any orders. You may have some search terms that are performing poorly and dragging down the performance, and you're not getting anything for it. Those are the ones that you do a negative exact. So all you would do is find them here on an individual campaign level, find them, search, and destroy them by clicking on Add Negatives to Campaign to improve your overall performance. Okay? So again, you can do that in bulk. You can just put in, a filter that says, I want to find them less than 4.4% in bulk. That's fine. But if you want to fine tune, this is where you fine tune each and every one of your campaigns by going into the individual campaign optimization dashboard. And you can get really down to nitty gritty by finding the search terms related to keywords inside a keyword optimizer. Like, this is really cool. You click on and this is if you have a lot of time. I tend to not do this anymore, but check this out. If you click on a keyword, you could find out a lot of information about that keyword, where it's performing well, where it has no search terms without a sale, and where it's got a really bad CTR percentage. So that's how you dig into it and get into the nitty gritty. This is how you're going to win with Amazon sponsored products in the future, guys, because there's a lot of competitors out there. There's people that are setting it and forgetting it, but this will be the differentiating factor for people, because this is where you'll get favorability with Amazon's algorithm. As the bid prices go up, yours won't go up as steeply because you're going to be well optimized, and you're going to have higher performing campaign overall. So now let's go into the last phase, which is the autopilot mode. Autopilot mode is getting a facelift in the next release, and it's also going to be getting some new features. I don't think it's going to be this week. It's going to be in a couple weeks, but it's going to be really cool. We're going to have some seasonality. Let's say you have a seasonal product. You can shut off your campaign during a certain season, which, come to think of it, may not even be the best thing, because Amazon does look at the performance of that campaign over time. So it may be better to, got to think this one through. The point is, seasonality is, obviously an important factor. You want to make sure you're spending money wisely. So maybe we could have a feature where you lower the budget of that campaign over that season. Instead of pausing it, which is what we thought we were going to do, maybe you could lower the budget. This way, you're not just wasting all your money on that particular product during the off season. Okay, so autopilot, basic settings. This is cool. You can set a target ACOS. Now, guys, the most important thing here is this is for the individual keywords inside of a campaign. We're going to target an ACOS and set a max bid price. So we will never go above this. You can set this to $10 if you want. And then you can set the minimum clicks before we do anything, the minimum amount of impressions before we do anything, the minimum number of days before we do anything, okay? So then we go in every night and we look at 90 days of data, or the most amount of data that you guys have available for that particular campaign. Again, this is on an individual campaign level. And then here's what I wanted to show you guys. We just talked about CTR percentage. we have an option to pause a keyword if the CTR percentage is below, like let's say it's 0.2. Let's say it's a real stinker over the last 90 days. You have the option to pause that keyword. Also the option to lower the keyword bid if it has 5 clicks without a sale. You can do all these things here. This one I love a lot, the 0 impressions. So let's say you have a keyword that's not getting any impressions. It has, let's say 0 impressions, less than 100. Okay, so if you have impressions, listen, okay. If you have 0 impressions, it's going to increase the bid by 10% in an attempt to get more impressions automatically. This way you can be in the game. Okay, really cool. If this is another feature here, option 2 to increase keyword bid, 0 impressions or impressions less than 1,000, increase the keyword bid by 0.02 per day, and the maximum value does not exist. So you can do it at a per day level, which is pretty cool too. You can sort of test out the waters on a keyword level. Again, this will only go on if your keyword is not getting any impressions inside of a campaign. So you can use a variety of these features. It'll look at the keywords on an individual basis, and then it'll raise the bid price based on how it's doing. If it's getting no impressions, let's raise that bid price up to try to get more impressions. If the CTR percentage is dragging down performance, let's knock it out. Then we have this is awesome, search term optimization automation. So this is going to be your negative exacts inside. And when you do this, guys, click on add to ad group level. I think we're going to have this by default. This is way more precise. It's going to go into the ad group level, and it's going to look at the search terms that meet these criteria. Let's say we have 1,000 impressions without a click. Well, let's get rid of that stupid search term. It's dragging down your CTR percentage. It's going to do it automatically if you click on these 2 things here. So it's going to look at 90 days worth of data. If that search term has 1,000 impressions and no clicks, then it's going to go as a negative exact. Same thing, CTR percentage. You can set it by CTR percentage. And perhaps we're going to do a training specifically on what to use, like how to use the autopilot for each different campaign, because it's going to be a little bit different based on the type of campaign that you've got set up. A research campaign is completely different from a PE campaign. Super important. The other thing is you may want to ignore some keywords. This means that our autopilot will not optimize this particular keyword at all. It will ignore it completely. So that's important, because if you have a couple of search terms that convert, we want to make sure that our software doesn't do anything to those search terms, and you can put them right in here. Okay, so that is optimization in a nutshell, and there's a lot of great ways to use it. If I were to start, I'd go to campaign bulk optimization, and I would do those strategies that I just recommended at the very beginning that really helped our US account, all of our accounts. And then I would go ahead and optimize based on CTR percentage, and then test out the autopilot, get comfortable with the autopilot on probably 1 or 2 campaigns. Just test it out. It works very, very well. But you have to know the settings and realize like why you're doing or why you're setting it a certain way to get, like, what are you looking to get? What kind of result? Are you looking to keep a campaign performing well in Amazon's eyes and profitable? Then maybe you're optimizing based on CTR percentage, and you're setting the filters based on CTR percentage. Again, if you guys have any questions about that, definitely head on over to the Facebook group and ask any questions that you may have. I see that we have about 20 people on this call. So I am going to open it up to any questions that you have. And also for the newbies, for the new people around, Power PPC is where you go to set up campaigns. We have the campaign manager, which is basically identical to Seller Central. You can, create a campaign. It looks very much like Seller Central. So there's a few extra features, like you can set a target ACOS, and our software will utilize that and tell you recommendations based on that target ACOS. Pretty cool. The other thing is you can find new keywords inside of keyword expansion. Search term expansion, obviously that's where you find the search terms and you make them their own keywords, basically by going down the list and finding the search terms and then converting those search terms that are not keywords yet into keywords. Again, this is all synchronized with Seller Central, so you can just select and add to a new campaign or add to an existing campaign. Match type expansion is where you go to expand on your match type. So turn something that's a phrase match into an exact match, per se, or from a broad match to a phrase match. All right, we're getting some questions. Newbie, could you explain the best way, again, briefly, to start with campaign optimization? Should we start with SKU, keyword, search term, bulk optimization, and then put a filter for port rate? Yes, I would start with the bulk. Thomas, spend time on the SKU, on the bulk optimization filters, and just get real familiar with those, because that's going to save you the most amount of time in the future. And I would start with that exact strategy. Go to SKU and then go to keyword and raise the bid prices and put in the criteria that you're looking for. And then just do it in bulk and save your time. And then you know, about a half an hour to an hour a week is really all you'll need once you have the filter set up. And once you know what you're doing, it's really not that much work. It used to take me dozens of hours. It was a pain in the butt. But now you can do it in a matter of minutes with the filters. So yeah, and then put a filter of 0.4 to 0.8. For the filter of 0.4 to 0.8, those are really good CTR percentages. You want to put a filter in that's less than 0.4. You want to find the ones that are like 0.01 to 0.2. Find those and then optimize on those. And you can go from there. And then, you know, do a negative exact on those. So Kaz, I hope that helped answer your question. Put in a filter of like 0.01 to 0.2 or 0.2, and then go from there. If your campaign is 1 day old, do not start now. No, it needs a good 3 weeks. It needs a good 3 weeks to get started on that. You're welcome, Thomas. Yes, Henry, this is being recorded. I know I just gave a lot to you guys in like, you know, a short period of time, covered a lot of stuff. So this is going to be recorded and emailed out tomorrow for sure. And again, just go onto the Facebook page and let's work through some campaigns, some optimizations, because this is where it's at, guys. Everyone's going after the same keywords and search terms. Got to make sure that, well, there also go wide with your long tails. You know, that's what search term expansion is all about. Going real wide with your long tail search terms and testing out, you know, about 400 to 500 different keywords is what we say. We used to say like go into thousands, but we're not doing it anymore because of CTR percentage. It's not great to like overly expand your search term expansion or not your keyword expansion and keyword reach. You don't want to test out too many things. At what point would you start a PPC campaign? Right away. Immediatamente. I would do it right away. We have a PDF called the Sticky Launch, which I can send to you guys. Eric, if you're in the Facebook group, go on over there and request the Sticky Launch, and I'll send it tomorrow. I have to go because I am a stickler for being on time, and I have a 6:30 call. So I really enjoyed talking with you guys. Merchant words. No, well, that's good too. And I also like Helium-10, Lena. Really like Helium-10. And I will talk to you guys inside of the Facebook group, and we'll go from there. I hope you guys enjoyed this this webinar. I know it was quick ending. Maybe the next time we'll make it until 6:45. I'll have to push my call back because this is a little crunched. All right. Guys, I'll answer these questions in the Facebook group. I'm going to leave this up. I will answer this in the Facebook group tomorrow, I promise. All right. Thank you, guys. Have an amazing evening. God bless.